Hi, this is Bob Bauer for Gulfside Cabaret, and today, as you can probably tell, we are on location. And as you can see behind me, we're at a nice location. There's palm trees and water, and, well, actually, directly behind me is Clearwater Beach. So why does Gulfside Cabaret come out here? Well, some of you theater goers may know where I am. If you can turn around, we'll tell you the purpose of today's show. It's a feature on Francis Wilson Playhouse. We are on Seminole Street in Clearwater, and we're going to take a tour, and we're going to talk to some people, and we're going to have some fun. All today, coming up on Gulfside Cabaret. Hi, and welcome to Gulfside Cabaret. Back in the studio now. And I know it's been a little while since we did a new show, but hey, you know, things happen. But we're back, and we got a lot to show you here, so I don't have a lot of time to sit here and babble, so we want to get right to all the important things. We're going to have a feature, like I said, on Francis Wilson Playhouse, and later on, LLoyd Lewis, the new editor of the Grapevine, the Suncoast Theater Grapevine, will be joining us, and we'll talk about what's going on with that. But right now, our usual feature, let's find out what's happening in theaters across the Bay Area. Coming up to closing of the season, so there's a lot of good things to see. And we'll start off at Split. St. Pete Little Theater is presenting Rumors May 7th through the 17th. And we move over to Kestrel Productions. And Kestrel is still in the Living Playwrights Festival with Paul Zindel's plays of The Secret Affairs of Mildred Wild. That's April 23rd through May 3rd. Also, at the same time, on alternating nights, they're presenting The Pigman. So they're almost done with that, so get down there and catch that. At Francis Wilson Playhouse, Cooking with Gus, April 30th through May 10th. A lot more about that coming up. Moving over to Tampa, at Carrollwood Players, it's The Foreigner with Jim O'Rear, April 23rd, May 10th through May 10th. Get over to Tampa to see that one. And still in Tampa, the Loft is presenting Beautiful Bodies through April 26th. And their next production is called Sexual Perversity in Chicago. They really have some interesting theater over there at the Loft. At Royalty Theater, back on this side of the bay, Lend Me a Tenor runs through April 19th. And their next production will be Nonsense. Moving down, or moving a little bit north, Richey Suncoast Theater, MACBETH opens May 7th. Through May 17th. This is, I'm glad to see some other theaters taking on Shakespeare. And at 8 o'clock Theater in Largo, the All Night Strut is their next production. And I don't really, excuse me, it's June 11th through the 21st. And if you have any questions or suggestions or anything else that you want to get to me, just write to me at the address that you see it on your screen now at Gulfside Cabaret, care of Paragon Cable. If I missed somebody, I'm sorry, but let me know about that and I'll try to rectify it. Okay, the gang and I went down to Seminole Street, downtown Clearwater, and there's a nice, pretty little theater down there called the Francis Wilson Playhouse, and we went down there and we checked it out and we talked to some people. It's kind of a historic place, so why don't we roll the tape now? And here we are in the lobby of Francis Wilson Playhouse, nice and cozy in front of this fireplace here. I'm sitting, and the table in front of me is a book of memorabilia of the past year's great shows, and seated next to me is the executive director of Francis Wilson Playhouse and honorary lifetime board member, Dorothy Ellison. Welcome to the show, Dorothy.
Thank you.
Dorothy, I guess first off I want to ask you, how did Francis Wilson Playhouse come to be? How did it start, and how did it get located to where it is now?
The Francis Wilson Playhouse began in 1930 as the Pinellas Players, with the plays being presented in the second-floor auditorium of the old City Hall that stood on South Fort Harrison Avenue and Haven Street. At the time, it was all that was available to them. It was not adequate and not always available, so more than anything else, what they wanted was a facility of their own. During these years, in the early 1930s, Francis Wilson, one of the great names in American theater, and the first president of Actors' Equity, was a winter visitor in Clearwater. As a matter of fact, his home is just, his old home that he lived in at that time was just 2 blocks south of the theater. He took an interest in the players, and, he wrote editorials for them. He wrote critiques. He helped them with their publicity. And he felt the same way they did, that they should have somewhere to present their plays where it could be entirely their own. He was also a friend of Mary Bach. Now, Mary Bach is from the Curtis Publishing family and gave us Bach Tower in the center of the state. In discussions with her about the theater, he asked her if she would be interested in lending the theater some money to start a theater of their own. She said she wouldn't lend it, but she would give it to them with the understanding that it would be called the Francis Wilson Playhouse in his honor. So, with the money, the players talked to the city to see about leasing a piece of land. And the city was receptive to the idea. The first piece of land they talked about was down where we now have the tennis courts, at the foot of the causeway. Then they talked about and decided on the corner of North Fort Harrison Avenue and Seminole Street. Now, that's where the Garden Club now stands. So that's where the cornerstone was laid. I don't know what happened after that, but plans were changed again, and they decided that this piece of ground we're on right now at the water's edge was a better place for the Playhouse. So the cornerstone was moved down here. All this took place in the early 30s. In 1936, the spring of 36, they were ready to start building. Francis Wilson went north to spend the summer and expected to come back in the fall to dedicate the theater to be named in his honor. Unfortunately, he became ill in the summer and died. But the theater opened in the fall of 1936. I came into it in 1937. We've had, we feel, very successful seasons. Unfortunately, in 1942, during the rehearsals for the last play of the season, Peg of My Heart, in fact, it was the last week of rehearsals, the theater was almost completely destroyed by fire. Our director at the time was Dorothy Meadows. She immediately went to the high school, the old high school on Greenwood Avenue, and asked if we could use their stage to present our play. We did, and the play opened on schedule. As a matter of fact, one of the gentlemen that was in the play moved his entire living room, including grand piano and oriental rugs, to the stage. According to our lease with the city, our theater had to be rebuilt within 6 months. Since this was the war years, materials were hard to come by, but we were able to find enough to build an adequate auditorium and stage, and this lasted until 1947. At that time, through the efforts of our membership, we were able to raise enough money to enlarge the auditorium and to build a stage house that we still use. In the 1950s, we realized we needed a workroom, and that was built, I would say, sometime in the early 1950s. Now, in the 60s, because parking had become a problem, we seriously considered moving to another location. However, in talking to the city, they told us that a boat launching area was to be built out west of our theater, and there would be more than enough parking for everyone. So we decided to just enlarge our theater again.
Good.
Let's see, in 1968, we air-conditioned the auditorium, and in 1969, we enlarged the lobby and the box office and added an art gallery. Now, that brings us up to the, let's see, up to the 70s. Oh, when we were building the front of the theater, rebuilding the front of the theater, we had hoped at the same time to build dressing rooms and a green room in the back, but we ran out of money. But 5 years later, in 1974, we built the dressing rooms and the green room. And that brings us up to the date. Now, we come to the problem of storage. That, for the last 10 years or more, has been a big problem. So we decided that we would add on to the back of the building. We built a large, very large storage room, and in doing so, we realized that we might as well put a second story and have a rehearsal hall. And within a few weeks, we hope that this addition will be finished, and we will have the dedication of the Lorne Drake edition. Lorne Drake was one of the members of our theater from the early 1950s. He was an actor, he was a board member, and a committee chairman, and had a great love of the theater. And it was through his efforts that we were able to complete the addition at the back. And that brings us up to date.
Well, I certainly asked the right person about the history of Francis Wilson Playhouse. Thank you. You know, I was wondering, is there anything left of the original 1936 house? You know, any of the artifacts or part of the building, anything left that's now in this building?
Yes. In the ceiling above us, we have timbers that were from the original building, and also this fireplace. There was another one just like it in our old green room in the back, but that was destroyed. However, this is the original fireplace, and this is Mary Bach above us.
Okay, that's great. All right, well, we certainly know now the history, and a great history it is, of the theater. Dorothy, you're the executive director of Francis Wilson Playhouse, and you have to make many decisions about the business of the place. I was wondering, and I'm sure the people watching wonder, how are plays chosen, the plays you choose for each season?
Well, in the first place, I'm just member of a board. There are 15 of us on the board. We do have committees. There is a play reading committee. In fact, we read plays all year long, and then towards the end of the season, we present what we think is a slate of plays to the board of directors for their approval.
And I think one of the newer and exciting things that's happening with Francis Wilson is lately you've been doing musicals.
Yes, we have been. I think we have presented 3 so far, and our membership has been most receptive.
Okay, I got another question for you. You've been an executive director, and the board members, you make the business decisions, but how many people are involved in actually putting on the plays? You know, the play is the thing that the people come to see. How many people are involved, and what do they do?
Well, we begin with our set designer. We have usually a set designer, 2 or 3 set designers in our theater that handle most of our plays. We have a set crew. We have a paint crew. We have our backstage people, such as our stage manager, our prop chairman. We have 2 men in the booth. We have someone that designs our lights. We have someone that runs our lights. Not only that, we also have the front of the theater. We have box office help. We have ushers. It takes a great many people than you could imagine to run a theater.
And so we actors are awfully thankful. We don't always mention it. We're always thankful for the help of all these individuals. It does take quite a few people. Dorothy, thank you so much for taking time out and sharing the history of this place. What a great history it is. And it was a pleasure to have you on Gulfside Cabaret.
And may we thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk about our theater.
And here we are on stage at Francis Wilson Playhouse, and this is a set in progress. And seated with me is the president of the board for Francis Wilson Playhouse, Natalie attired, but you'll understand why in a moment here, Buzz Dawson. Thanks for taking some time with us, Buzz.
My pleasure, yeah.
Now Buzz is dressed this way because he's working. He's putting together this set, and we want to find out, since you've built just about all the sets here, what's your procedure? How do you do that?
We start with a production meeting in which the set designer presents a design. When the director confirms it, then I either get a model, in this case, or a floor plan, and lay it out. By trade, I'm a state-certified contractor, so it comes natural to me.
Okay, so what do you do from that point?
From the moment we lay it out, we start putting up the walls. In this case, we have platform steps. We have to build some things, like the kitchen counters and the cabinets. And pretty soon, it always takes 2 weeks. Rain or shine, any kind of play, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Well, that's pretty good, because some of the sets here have been quite elaborate. What was your toughest one?
Lord Almighty. We do some revolving sets. We have a 20-foot revolving platform, and then we'll have a set on both sides. We had a good one last spring called Invitation to a March that I was in, as a matter of fact. And they're the most fun. I don't know about tough. They're all fun to do. They're all different.
I did forget to mention that you're an actor as well. This takes... What else does the board do? What other things do you do?
We have a working board, and everybody that's on the board not only has to be a seasoned member in good standing, I mean paid up, they have to be at least one committee. You might read plays, you might help clean the house, you might check the building and grounds. for 3 years, I checked the toilet paper in the restaurant. So.
Well, somebody's got to.
I know. It was me. And his reward now, I'm president. I'm not sure it was a promotion or demotion.
Okay, well, now we know how you got to be president. That's interesting. Yeah, now you've got, and we're going to show you all this wood back there and all these props. Is this from previous sets, or do you have to constantly buy new things?
We spend anywhere from $200 to $500 per show on new material, but we have a lot of components, modular components. They're flats that go together, step units, furniture, etc. And we try to use as much as we can of what we have on hand. You'll see when you go backstage, we have a new addition for storage, and we got stuff coming out of our ears, and it's long overdue. We're looking forward to using that.
Yeah, because they're going to be even more elaborate here now with doing more musicals, right?
Right, definitely right, yeah.
Okay, so you have a crew now. How many people is it that work on the set besides yourself?
It varies from none, depending if they're not in town or sick or whatever, to as many as 8 or 10 guys. 2 of them are PhDs. One is a retired Coast Guard captain. We have a CPA. All different kinds of people, all nice guys, and they all tolerate me. So it's worked out great.
Well, Buzz, I thank you for taking some time with us here, and any of you who have come down to Francis Wilson before have seen some of the really fine sets. This guy's responsible for it. Pretty much all of them this guy has been responsible for. And like I said, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out. And if you come down here to see a show, he'll be around somewhere. Say hi to him. Say, nice set.
And come volunteer.
They need volunteers down here. A lot of people, like we were talking about, a lot of people are involved in the production of a play. All different aspects, and they always do need volunteers, and, hey, it's fun as well. Thanks again, Bud.
You're quite welcome.
And I thought we might look around a little bit at what Buzz does. Now, this is a scale model of the set currently going up for Cooking with Gus. Built to scale, but it's really very tiny, as you can see. And they also have to follow blueprints. It's a very intricate job putting together a real nice set. And now we're backstage where Buzz works and all the guys work. Whoops, excuse us. As you can see, there's just wood and things. Not a lot of room, so they're going to need that extra storage space. Props, tables, chairs. And that's Alfie. Alfie put together this the set design and built that small-scale model, as you saw earlier. And here you got a lot of tools, a lot of things in here, but not a lot of room to work. So here you go. You see there's more props up there as well. And there's a lot of stuff here in a very confined area, so it's pretty good that they built the extra storage space, which I'll show you later. Working on all parts of the building. Like we're putting in a phone here or something. You know, putting in a phone. Focus up. Attaboy. Hi. Yes, you're on TV. And here is the room we were talking about. This is like an upper level of Francis Wilson Playhouse, and this room will be used for more storage and the rehearsal room, which they have lacked for quite a long time. Well, I guess forever, but this will be real nice. And now we're down in the green room where the actors can relax and in between scenes and like that, and where you can meet the actors afterwards. Yes, there's a piano, and let's go back here. The dressing rooms are back here, so let's go see what's happening in the dressing rooms. Oh, hi. Well, here we are in the dressing room, the men's dressing room of Francis Wilson Playhouse, and this is where all the actors and actresses make themselves look great for the stage. Well, some do anyway. Cooking with Gus. Well, that's the latest bill of fare here at Francis Wilson Playhouse, and it's a romantic comedy. I had hoped to have an interview with director Sam McKinnon, but Sam couldn't be here today, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about the production since, well, yes, I happen to be in this production. Proudly, I'm in this production. It's a story of a couple who are living together. They're not married, although everyone thinks they are because she's taken the man's last name. And she's a famous author of cookbooks, and he has invented something that's made him, well, retire at a young age. There's only two other people in the play. Next door, their neighbor is a Jewish gypsy, and there's also the lady's, her name is Gus, her literary agent, and that's the part I play. There's a lot of crazy things that happen in this. There's romance. There's got to be romance in it, and there's some slapstick humor. You're going to see things like people being forced to act like a chicken. You're going to see pies in the face. A lot of crazy, loony type of humor. And what a great way to end Francis Wilson's season. This is the last show of this particular season. So this is the last chance for you to see something down here at Francis Wilson. You ought to get down here. It runs April 30th through May 10th. There's Saturday matinees. Please come on down here and see the show. And afterwards, meet me in the green room. I'd like to meet you. And another unsung person is the audio booth person. And we're here in the audio and light booth. And as you can see, I've got all this audio equipment here for music, sound effects, whatever that have to go out there. Lighting all down here. And another unsung hero. And it all goes out there on the stage. And if you didn't guess, we are in the costume room, and with me is Jean Hess. Is she the costume designer for all the shows?
Yes, sir.
All the shows at Francis Wilson. Jean, where do you get all this stuff?
Well, a lot of it is donated. And if it's donated, we use it lots of times for the material alone. We get curtaining, which I made into Henry VIII's costumes. Huh. This is old brocade off of curtains. And this is from old formals. I remake them into the period that we need, such as old hats and costume jewelry. We remake everything to the period that we have to have.
Okay, so if you don't have it, you can make it. You can make it, right?
Just about.
Okay. What was your toughest show? Can you remember?
Yes. Good News was our musical, and it was 1927 college football story. So I had to come up with 8 1927 football uniforms. That was a toughie. But with a little research, we did it.
But you did it.
Yeah.
Okay, now, this is another one of the people that are behind the scenes, the people that we love here. When we're on stage, we get all the glory. Jean here's one of the people that doesn't get all the glory, and she should, because she works very, very hard. Thank you for showing us a little bit in here, Jean.
You're very welcome. Come see the show.
Okay, come see all the shows. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed our little tour through Francis Wilson Playhouse down here on Seminole Street in downtown Clearwater. If you don't get a chance to come down and see their last play of the season, Cooking with Gus, remember them next season. There's always good theater down here. It's always fun, and hey, it's historic. I'll see you next time.
For the animals who share the earth, and for the animals who share our lives, the Morris Animal Foundation means better health. To learn more, call toll-free 1-800-530-8530.
And I hope you liked our little segment there at Francis Wilson Playhouse. I did want to mention to you, the next season is a great one. Starting off with The Nerd, following with Anastasia, Babes in Toyland, My Daughter, Your Son, Something Afoot, Once More with Feeling, and Alice in Wonderland. Sounds like a real great season, so get out there and see some shows. Now, what you're looking at is a Larry Award, a local theater award. The only way you can get one of these is if you are an actor in the area and you happen to be voted in by people who read the Grapevine magazine, the Suncoast Theater Grapevine. And with me is the new editor, LLoyd Lewis. Lloyd, thank you for showing up and coming down here.
Thank you, Bob.
Now, as faithful watchers of Gulfside Cabaret know Gary Buttrey, who was the editor for so long, recently passed away, and we were all saddened to hear that.
Very unexpected, right.
Yes, it was very unexpected. Nobody knew about that, and you have taken the reins. What's the situation, and what's happening with the Grapevine right now?
Well, we formed a board of directors out of people interested in keeping the Grapevine going. As you know, it was mostly a one-man deal, with Gary doing all the work and putting it together. And so we've formed a committee of friends who wanted to see it go, and elected a board of directors, and they appointed me editor. And just this last week we got out our second Grapevine for this year, and hopefully we'll be on an even keel now. Every month we'll be going. We are sort of short on funds, and we've asked for solicitations and contributions by theaters, and we're getting good response.
Good. For those of you who don't know, what the Suncoast Theater Grapevine is and what it does is it gives you lots of useful information about local theater, what's playing, audition notices, way ahead of the newspapers usually, articles, news facts, and the Larry Awards, nominations, things like that. And it's a monthly magazine, it happens once a year. And I used to call it the little Bible, a theater Bible, a local theater Bible. So you go by that, you can't go wrong if you want to find out what's happening in theater. Now, I just wanted to say that because the people who just tuned in, what is the Grapevine? That's what it's all about.
That's right.
And we don't want it to go away, and they do need support. Now, some people, I don't want to be taking all your time here, but some people are saying that, well, Gary's gone, the Grapevine's gone. That's not the truth.
No. We really feel that we're going to try so hard to keep it going and make a go of it, and be a good service to the community, the theater community.
Right, and you are going to continue the Larry Awards and the ceremony.
That's right. That'll be in each October, but we are handling it a little differently. We're going to have, instead of each theater getting 100 votes for our ballots for the Larrys, we are going to make it 1 vote per subscription.
Okay, great.
And that way we feel it'll be a little bit more fair, that each person can nominate their favorite people for awards in directing and acting and costuming, all the backstage, onstage, positions.
Right. I suggest to people who are watching that even if you're not an actor or a technician, that you subscribe to the Grapevine. We can put up the address, please, Sid, if you would, where people can write to subscribe. It's what, $20 for a year?
Yes.
And you folks who, there we are. You folks who have already subscribed to the Grapevine, here's what you need to do. Get in your renewals, and this is what I'm doing right now. This is a check for my renewal, and it's a little bit extra in there too, because I want this.
Oh, that's wonderful, Bob.
This Grapevine to keep going, and all of you and you people involved in the theater, give a little bit extra. We want to keep that going. We've got just a short time left here, Lloyd. Is there something? Thank you for keeping that address up there. Is there something else you want to get across here?
Well, I do want to thank all the subscribers and our many patrons who have been so kind, and you for this, and for allowing me to be here for a moment to tell people about the Grapevine. We are going to try to keep auditions, features on certain individuals in the community and theaters alive and well.
Great. That's all the time I have for. Thank you for coming down, Lloyd, and thank you, Francis Wilson Playhouse. And folks, I'll see you next month.